Hi, welcome to the first ever podcast I'm recording. My name's Nicole, and I'm the creator slash human behind Zero Bearings. I'm pretty nervous because I'm not used to speaking out loud and recording myself. I usually write my thoughts down in articles, and sometimes I decide to publish them on my website. So please excuse the little mistakes I make here and there, or my shaky voice. I'll try to muster out the courage to do this well. As of right now, I'm stuck in my room, like many of you, I'm guessing, and I thought this could be a good way to connect with the rest of the world. This episode I'm recording is the first episode of a mini series I'll be doing. It is about my journey heading towards starting a PhD. When I first started working on my application, people around me started finding out too. I think humans are just wired to want to comment on things, be it positive or negative. As expected, I received both positive and negative feedback on what others thought I should be doing instead of pursuing a PhD. Oh, I'm currently 25, if you were curious. I think what most people expect of me right now is for me to have a stable, full-time job. But that is quite tricky with what I'm planning to do. I am interested in pursuing an academic career, and that means I have a different road to take. I am very passionate in the area of interest I am planning to research on in my PhD. I'd be lying if I said that did not affect me. And that is exactly why I decided to write an article on it instead of just thinking and overthinking everything, because then I'd be able to understand why it was affecting me, and eventually I'd be able to silence those doubts that were manifesting in my head. So yes, that is what I'll be talking about in this first episode. If you're interested in pursuing a PhD someday, or you're interested in just following me along on my journey, that would be so cool. Welcome to this space, and I'm happy to have you around. It can get quite lonely in my thought bubble, so come on in. Welcome to my little corner of the world and get comfy. Oh, also, I should mention, I don't really filter myself when it comes to being vulnerable, but I do filter when it comes to words. So if you're looking forward to hearing profanities to release stress, you might not get that here. Sorry in advance for disappointing. Okay, so with that out of the way, I'll move on to what I'm going to talk about in this episode. Since deciding to pursue a PhD research in a field that I am incredibly passionate in, quite a number of people in my life have decided that this may not be a wise decision. A few have even mustered up the courage to ask me some pretty bold questions. Some of them are, why are you doing a PhD? Are you scared to start working? What's the point of a PhD? You're too young to do one anyway. Or, how are you going to afford it? Your poor parents must be sad. To be honest, that last one hurt more because it involved my parents. My parents are very supportive people, and my mom is in the academic field as well. So this is not something new to them. And I am very lucky that they're supportive. I'm going to keep this short because the only one who truly needs to know why is me. I don't have to prove myself to anyone. I hope if you're pursuing something and others are going against you, that you do realize you don't have to prove yourself to them. Just prove yourself to you. So we can work in silence and are resilient in working in silence. We let our work be the noise, if that makes sense. So I'll just keep this short. But I've got some educating to do because, if some people are daring enough to ask those questions, I need to say something. So here goes. The reason I'm doing a PhD is simple. I need to do this research. If there's one thing I've ever been certain of in my life, it's this. I understand how a PhD may sound taunting or over the top for a 24-year-old graduate like me. Trust me, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the acronym. I'm just a young adult who wants to continue doing her research. If you leave me alone with a laptop, with full access to ResearchGate or Google Scholar or Factiva, I'll be all set. Is that so hard for some people to believe? Perhaps it'll make more sense if I shared a little bit about my research topic. You know those journalists you see on TV or on social media covering news from areas that are seemingly too dangerous for anyone to be in? You know, the ones putting their lives on the line in the hopes of extracting whatever exposure of the conflict they can. Perhaps a relatable one for all my fellow Malaysians is Sumisha Naidu. Her recent assignment on Sri Lanka's Easter bombings is a perfect example. If you haven't seen her news coverage, what are you doing? You should go to Twitter and find her at Sumisha Naidu. She has really good reporting. I don't think you will be disappointed. So here's my research focus. Are these foreign correspondents equipped with what they need to combat psychological trauma? This is a multidisciplinary research, and I am so excited to start on it because it involves two worlds that I'm interested in colliding, and I never thought I'd reach this point. I love psychology and I love journalism. And doing this research is just a small dream come true for me. You would think, well, yeah, if they're with a news organization, they're fine. They have professional trainings and stuff. Well, that is not the case. Keeping in mind the ultimate role of journalists and what they stand for, they deserve better for what they do. They are not victims by any means, don't get me wrong. In fact, quite the contrary. This research has the potential to do something. I see that it can do something, so why not stretch it as far as it can possibly go? I have been blessed with the opportunity of interviewing some of these foreign correspondents during my time in Sydney when I was pursuing my Masters of Journalism. And I am very lucky to have interviewed such resilient individuals. And let me tell you, it would leave you speechless, overwhelmed, and in awe. These professionals are incredibly resilient, but we shouldn't forget that they are humans too. When I saw the tough, witty journalists with decades of experience start to be vulnerable and slowly start to crumble in front of me, I panicked because I thought I did something wrong, but I thought I couldn't help but think, we failed this man. This isn't enough. Why won't somebody do something to fix the obvious flaw in the system? As you can tell, I can get quite passionate about this. Let me share an excerpt I found when I was working on a master's thesis. I'll let you decide for yourself if this is something worth spending time on. Quote, "There was this little girl in a pool of blood, lying on her back. And I didn't go rush up to her. I did not try to help. I ran to the truck and got my camera, and I started to film the situation. Some men picked her up and put her in the back of a car, and they were actually blocking my shot. And I grabbed one of the men on the back of the shoulder, yanked him back, and I went in with the camera. I was looking at her through the eyepiece. I didn't know if she was conscious, but she just sort of looked into the lens, and then her eyes just sort of lost focus, and then the car took off to the hospital. I was looking into the glass of the lens, and the more I looked at the lens, the more something hit me. I was seeing myself in the lens, and I was looking at my eyes in the lens, and then I realized that that girl had seen herself in the lens as she was dying and bleeding. And it just hit me that the last thing she saw in her life was her own self dying. I did that to her." Unquote. Wrecked with guilt that he had put the needs of the job before those of the girl, he went off to film civilians under fire on one of the main boulevard, dubbed Sniper Alley, without wearing any protective body armor. "At that moment, I really wanted to die," he says. "I wanted to take a bullet for what I had just done, and that's when I lost it completely. And everything was a bit of a blur for the next few days until I wound up having a nervous breakdown in Heathrow Airport." So that's the end of the excerpt. This is only one of many stories. I hope you, or at least my readers, can understand my passion for this area of research. This research strips not only my ego away, but also of those I hope to interview one day. Oh man, I really hope I can have enough courage to do this. With this, I hope the true personal stories of foreign correspondents can be extracted without the layer of bullcrap they're used to putting up to protect their self-reputation. This is only fair. Of course, in order for this to happen, both parties will have to bare their souls and be vulnerable. In fact, that's the part I most look forward to unraveling. It's nerve-wracking, and if you know me, I am a nervous wreck most of the time. But this is exciting and humbling all at the same time, and I look forward to it so much. I hope you can share in my joy for being able to pursue something I'm incredibly passionate in, even if it's not your average high-paying job in the market. Well, that's all I have for this first episode. It's a short one. I hope it's kept you company for the last, I don't know how many minutes. If you want, you can find the full write-up of this article on my website. I have other articles on my website too if you like to explore. It's just zerobearings.weebly.com. I will be posting more and doing more of this. As I mentioned earlier, this is a mini-series, so there will be more episodes. I hope my voice isn't too annoying, because I know it can be quite high-pitched at times. Also, I nervous laugh a lot, as you can tell. I'll try my best not to do it if I do catch myself doing it excessively, so please bear with me as I try to get used to this whole podcast recording thing. I really want to put out content that might help others or might be interesting to someone else. If you ever need a listening ear, my inbox is always open. I'm interested to hear from whoever wants to reach me. My future podcasts will also feature a squeaky chair, like in this one, and an overheating laptop. So those are the background noises you'll hear. I hope you can bear with me on that as well. So until next time, have faith and hang in there. Keep keeping on. And thanks for listening.